6th. I'm Stephen Forté. Today we're talking about AI that doesn't just help your team, it's starting to quietly replace parts of it. Two big announcements this week from ServiceNow and Anthropic. And if you run a company with an IT department or a team that touches spreadsheets, yep, so all of you, these are worth your time. Let's get into it. So here's what happened. ServiceNow launched something called Autonomous Workforce, and Anthropic released a set of enterprise plugins that let its AI, Claude, work directly inside tools like Excel, Slack, and Gmail. On the surface, totally unrelated product launches, but I've been thinking about both of them since yesterday, and I'm pretty sure they're two sides of the same coin. I'll connect them at the end. But let me walk you through each one first. Let's start with ServiceNow. They rolled out this new product line, Autonomous Workforce, and I have to say, the marketing team earned their lunch on that name. These aren't chatbots. They're not those little co-pilot sidebars that pop up, suggest something mildly helpful, and then watch you do all the work anyway. These are AI agents designed to take a task, run with it, and finish it. Fully autonomous. The first one they shipped handles low-level IT service desk work. Think password resets, access requests, VPN troubleshooting, the stuff that fills your IT team's day and slowly drains their will to live. ServiceNow says the system comes with governance baked in, audit trails, escalation rules for anything it shouldn't touch. And here's where it gets interesting. ServiceNow didn't just build this and ship it to customers, they used it on themselves first. They say it now handles over 90% of their own IT tickets. And resolution time dropped by and they claim 99%. Now, look, I take that second number with a grain of salt, but even at half that, it's hard to ignore. They also launched Employee Works, which plugs conversational AI into Teams and Slack. So an employee just types, I can't connect to the VPN, or I need access to the finance dashboard, and the system figures it out and handles it. No ticket filed, no waiting in a queue, no passive-aggressive email to IT. It just gets done. Okay, so why should you care? Because this isn't about making your IT team faster. This is about making part of your IT team optional, and I know that's a blunt way to put it. But that's literally what ServiceNow is selling. They're drawing a very clear line between Copilot, a AI that helps a human do work, and autonomous agent AI that does the work by itself. One of those is a productivity tool. The other is a staffing decision. Let me put some numbers on this because I think this is where it gets real. For a lot of business leaders, say you've got a company with 500 employees, you probably have 4, maybe 6 level 1 support people. Fully loaded, each one costs you $60,000 to $80,000 a year. If an autonomous system handles 90% of those tickets, even 70%, you need 1 or 2 people for escalations. That's it. Your IT budget just changed, and not in the let's trim 3% kind of way, in the we need to rethink this function kind of way. Now zoom out. ServiceNow clearly wants to be more than the company you think of when something breaks. They're building toward being the platform where AI agents live inside your enterprise with defined roles, authority limits, governance like an HR system. But for robots, which honestly, that sentence would have been science fiction 2 years ago, it puts them in a direct fight with Microsoft, Salesforce, and Workday. Expect all three to have a sudden burst of innovation in the next few weeks. Nothing motivates a product roadmap like a competitor eating your lunch. Let me make this concrete. Think about a company that probably looks a lot like yours or like one of your portfolio companies. Professional services firm, 800 people, 3 offices, 6 people on the IT help desk, 500 tickets a week. Most of it is the kind of work where you think, there has to be a better way to do this. Password resets, software access, VPN issues, close to $400,000 a year in fully loaded costs. With ServiceNow's system, someone types, I need access to the project management tool for the Henderson account into Slack. The AI checks permissions, grants access, confirms, done. Nobody filed a ticket. Nobody waited 45 minutes for something that takes 30 seconds. The help desk goes from 6 to 2. The firm saves about $250,000 a year. At this scale, that's not a rounding error. That's a real conversation with your CFO. And 2 caveats, though. 1, that speed claim really needs to be tested in regulated environments. Compliance adds friction that ServiceNow's internal deployment probably doesn't reflect. And 2, ask about interoperability before you sign anything. There are emerging standards called MCP and A2A that let AI agents from different vendors work together. If ServiceNow supports them, you've got a platform. If they don't, you've got a very nicely designed prison. Different thing entirely. All right, let's talk about Anthropic. Different company, different philosophy, same general ambition of making your team look at each other nervously. Anthropic just launched 10 enterprise plugins for Claude, and I think a lot of people are going to glance at this and move on, which would be a mistake. These plugins let Claude actually do things inside the software your teams use every day, not summarize a document and wish you well. Do real work. Excel, PowerPoint, Google Drive, Gmail, Slack, DocuSign. It reads, writes, executes across finance, HR, legal, engineering, even private equity workflows. The partners tell you this is serious. LSEG and FactSet for financial data, Salesforce for CRM, and Thomson Reuters. This is the number that made Wall Street sit up. Says over 1 million professionals now use CoCounsel. It's legal AI built on Anthropic's models. Thomson Reuters' stock jumped almost 14% on the news. When a partnership announcement moves your stock like that, we're past the interesting experiment phase. So what's Anthropic's play here? They used to be the company that made really smart AI models. Good models, thoughtful company, but still, they sold the engine, not the car. That's changing. Now they're building an operating layer that sits across your entire software stack. Instead of competing with Salesforce or Google or Thomson Reuters, Claude just moves in. It embeds inside those tools and handles the work that falls between the cracks, the stuff that currently requires someone to flip between 6 browser tabs, a spreadsheet, and a stale cup of coffee to get done. This is creating a split in the software market that I think every executive needs to pay attention to, especially if you're running or investing in a SaaS company. There are now 2 camps. Camp 1, companies that deeply integrate AI into their products. Thomson Reuters, with CoCounsel as the poster child, their software gets smarter, stickier, harder to leave. Camp 2, companies that resist AI integration or try to build their own from scratch. Those companies are bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. If that's you, get this on your board agenda. Even if you're not in software, this changes how you buy software. You're not just comparing Salesforce to HubSpot on features anymore. You need to understand which AI model powers each tool, how deep the integration goes, and what happens to your data. That's a new muscle most procurement teams haven't developed yet. Probably a good time to start. Let me give you a real-world example. I've heard versions of this from several executives, so it might sound familiar. A mid-market PE firm, 12 portfolio companies. Every month, a team of 3 analysts spends the entire first week pulling financial data from spreadsheets, building PowerPoint decks, drafting update emails to LPs. It's important sounding work, but let's be honest, most of it is copy-paste with better fonts, about 200 hours a quarter. With these new plugins, Claude connects to the Excel files in Google Drive, pulls the data, builds the slides using the firm's template, drafts the email. One prompt. The analyst reviews it, makes the real judgment calls about narrative framing, and sends it off. 200 hours drops to maybe 20, and the analysts aren't gone. They're finally doing the work the firm actually hired them for, instead of being the world's most overqualified data entry team. One more angle, 1 million lawyers now use CoCounsel. That means contract review, regulatory research, case law analysis. Huge chunks of billable legal work are shifting to AI at scale. Firms that embrace this will bill less per task, but handle way more matters per attorney. Firms that don't will just cost more. And if you're an executive paying outside counsel $2,000 for research in AI does in 4 minutes, it might be time to have an uncomfortable phone call with your law firm. Okay, let me bring this together because I think there's one insight that matters more than any of the details. ServiceNow and Anthropic just made the same bet from opposite ends of the building. ServiceNow's bet, you want to replace certain roles outright, give the AI a job title, a set of rules and audit trail, and let it go. Start with IT, expand into HR, procurement, finance, ops. Their pitch is basically, we'll give you an AI employee, manage it like any other headcount, no PTO required. Anthropic's bet is different. They think you don't want to replace your people. You want to set them free from the tedious stuff. Let the AI handle the repetitive work so your expensive, talented humans can actually use their brains for what you're paying them for, you know? Honestly, I think both bets are right. It just depends on the role. Some functions in your company are routine enough to automate entirely. Others need human judgment but are drowning in busy work that eats the whole week. The leadership question, and this is where it really matters, is figuring out which is which. Walk through your departments, which workflows are repetitive, rule-based, high volume. Those are ripe for the ServiceNow approach. Which ones require real expertise but waste that expertise on data gathering and formatting? That's Anthropic's territory. The companies that sort this out will do more than save money. They'll move people into work that actually drives value. The ones that don't will keep paying premium salaries for tasks a machine finishes before your morning coffee gets cold. Bring this one to your next leadership meeting. I think you'll find it starts a conversation that doesn't end quickly, and that's usually a sign it's the right one to have. That's the AI Executive Briefing from Friday, March the 6th. I'm Stephen Forté. If this hit home, share it with a colleague who needs to hear it. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, stay sharp.